Hi, everybody. Well, we're into the new year. I think that's kind of exciting in a way. I just have to keep remembering that things aren't, going to change like that, that it's slow and steady progress, not an instantaneous change. I ran across a reading some time ago and I put it in. I have a little file where I drop things that I might want to come back to and think about later. And this was one of those. So I don't even know when I read this. I'm not even positive about where it came, although I could guess. But it's about compassion. I have a feeling that in the days and weeks ahead, as we move into this transition into the new government, that we're all going to need to be a little compassionate and cut each other some slack. And I'm not sure that that's going to happen. I might even be sure that it's not going to happen. We'll have to see. But I read this and thought I'd share it and see what you think of it. It says, true compassion recognizes that all the boundaries we perceive between ourselves and others are an illusion. The practice of compassion, it says, becomes more difficult when we find ourselves unable to understand the actions of the person who offends us. It's true for me. If only I could understand so and so, then maybe I could forgive them. Then maybe I could acknowledge what they're feeling. Then maybe I could, reconcile with them, fill in the blank. But this says these are the situations that ask us to look more deeply into ourselves, into parts of our psyches that we may not want to deny. That we may want to deny. These are the situations that ask us to look more deeply into ourselves, into parts of our psyches that we may want to deny. Parts that we have repressed because society has labeled them bad or wrong. So this practice of compassion becomes more difficult when we can't understand the other people. But those situations are the ones where we can't understand them, that we have to look at ourselves more. We have to try to deeply understand what's going on in our own psyches that we might want to deny. Partly because maybe we've repressed them or society has labeled them as bad or wrong, and so we don't want to own them. Easy for me to think of in terms of some of our national leaders. I don't want to forgive them. I don't understand them. If only I could understand them, I could forgive them. It's annoying to me that Jesus says we have to forgive even if we don't understand. One of the many things that Jesus teaches that annoys me. And still I love him, and still he welcomes me. And when I think that I delight God, I'm grateful because I would just see myself as a big pain in the you-know-what if I were God or Jesus. But anyway, I digress. You ever feel that way? The things I struggle with, I'm sure, truly are things inside myself when I look at someone else. But it doesn't have to be national leaders. It could be institutions. It could be people right here. It could be people in my own life who I have felt hurt by. I was saying to my daughter the other day, and to my best friend, we all got in conversations about this, that there are times in my life when I have just jettisoned people from my life. People who either weren't healthy for me or who hadn't been in touch with me. And it's not that I did it with malice or anger. It's just, they're really not around anymore. I don't need to send them Christmas cards anymore. Or, gosh, that was very painful when after a 28-year friendship, that person got angry over something I still don't understand what and left. But I've had to accept that and find peace about that. Or someone else who, deeply hurt me, even though we are tangentially related. I find myself now just thinking, boy, if I were to start from scratch with what I know about that person now, would they even be a friend of mine? Because I've grown. I'm not sure that they have. Maybe they have. We may have grown in different ways. I mean, there are just, see what I'm getting at? There's so many facets to this. And I can't understand everyone. And I can't even understand what I don't understand. I could not even begin to tell you the things that I don't understand about some of our national leaders, or about some way that things happened in my life where I was deeply wounded. And can I take responsibility for my own part in that? Sure. Sure I can. And should, and hopefully do. But it doesn't change the outcome. And I think that has to be okay for us to stay, well, if not estranged, at least a little separate from, a little distant from. But now this is saying that true compassion recognizes that all the boundaries we perceive, and I would assume that would mean the distance or separation, right? All those boundaries that we perceive between ourselves and others are an illusion. Which is saying that in essence, which I do believe on a metaphysical level, in essence, I and the person that I'm feeling this way about really are one. Whoa. That's not very comforting. To think that all of the things that I don't like about others, about national leaders, or about people who've hurt me in my past, that we have that in common, that we're all one. And yet that's what Jesus came to teach us. We don't only get to forgive the people we like or we want to forgive. We don't only get to have compassion for those who are like us. We have to, love our enemies. We have to be willing to recognize that maybe we aren't right. Maybe we aren't the be-all and end-all. Maybe the pain happened. Maybe it was their intent. We have to forgive them anyway. So that brings me to the next step where I say, I don't think I can do that. But Jesus can. He can forgive. And so I think we need to approach that not with the I told you so validation of, fine, you forgive him then. It has to be the prayer that says, Jesus, I am having trouble forgiving or understanding or fill in the blank with this person. Please help me to be more forgiving. Help me to be more compassionate. It's going to make us feel really uncomfortable. But it's what we're called to do. And if we can do that, if we can go through the Christ Spirit to reach that point, it not only increases our compassion, but I think it brings us closer to the light. Something for us to think about as we start this new year, as we gear up for these elections in Georgia and for the Congress to confirm the Electoral College, and then for a change in leadership, as our families gear up to resume distance learning, as we settle in for several more months of being separated by the virus. Through him, all things are possible. Thank you for joining me for this prayerful pause with the pastor. A few moments to consider something greater than ourselves, even when it makes us uncomfortable. Jesus is there. The Christ consciousness can prevail. We just have to invite it in and seek it, and be willing to live with the discomfort of not being able to do this well yet. and keep working at it as we move into the light. I'm Pastor Deb Swift of South Presbyterian Church in Rochester, New York. We'll see you next time. God bless. Bye for now.